All right. So got to talk to the ladies. Actually, talking to ladies and talking to husbands as well. If you are the financial person in your marriage, time to bring your woman into the conversation, because I want to unpack the numbers that are in this article that you and I have here and make some people aware of some things.
Yeah.
Wives, as we know, this is a commonly known stat. Wives often outlive their husbands. And research actually shows nearly 80% of women, 80% of women will become the sole financial decision maker for their household. And that includes planning for their retirement as well. So thinking about the work you do, Michigan's retirement coach, helping people figure out their retirement plans. How is it that you ensure, Mike, both spouses are on the same page when you're building out these plans for folks?
Well, we use a thing, what we call the other spouse principle.
Okay.
It came from just an observation over the years that in most families, there is one spouse who handles the retirement plan, and there's one spouse who handles the home. So, for example, there's a lot of people who say, well, maybe the husband worked and the wife didn't. And in that situation, the husband went and earned and the wife took care of the home. Sometimes the wife took care of the home expenses, like the day-to-day and the budgeting and all that, but yet the husband still took care of the retirement plans. And then when it came to actually the long-term views, one would be left out and one could be left out of the short-term planning. So it seems like most homes have these divided responsibilities. And we noticed that there was times when we'd say, hey, let's get together for a review, and one would show up and the other one wouldn't. We'd say, what's going on? He doesn't care about this, or she doesn't care about this.
Yeah.
Which is fine until the other one has to step in and fill that role all of a sudden.
Okay.
With my grandparents, I laugh because, my grandpa ran a very successful farm and did a great job with that. And my grandma ran the houses. She ran the house. Like she managed everything. Well, she passed away early.
Really?
And so what's interesting, because I know we're talking about the opposite side of this first, but she passed away early. Well, he didn't know where anything was in the house. Just nothing. And so he hadn't cooked a meal for himself in probably 50 years, because as a farmer, he got up early, came back and breakfast was ready. He'd go back out, came home, lunch was ready. He'd go out, come home, dinner was ready.
Yep.
And that was their model.
Yep.
And so when she passed, all of a sudden he had to be responsible for feeding himself for the first time. And he didn't know where anything was. So a lot of our family had to go out there and kind of get him set up with meals and these different things. And people have it the other way too, where maybe you're the one who is managing the home, or you did this, that, whatever. And now all of a sudden the spouse passes and you don't know about the retirement plan and the long-term vision for your finances. And that's what we deal with a lot. It's like learning a new language. Retirement planning is different. It's a new language. Some crazy stats from that article is half of all women who become widowed in the U.S. are under the age of 59.
I know. It's so young. It's surprising to hear that.
It's a very young age. So that means if a woman whose average life expectancy, and depend on who you listen to, some people say 79, some people say 84 right now.
Yeah.
But it's 20 to 25 years.
50 for these women that are widowed under the age of 59.
Yeah. 20 to 25 years of now being the retirement planner, the investment manager, the insurance manager, and all these things when you've maybe never touched it.
Yep.
Another study by UBS, 85% of women manage everyday expenses, but only 23% take the lead when it comes to long-term financial planning.
Yep.
So again, the budget, the shopping list, the utilities, how to make sure that all the lights stay on, 85% of women manage that in a family.
Which goes to show these women are smart.
It's
capable people. I mean, that's hard work. That's a lot to do on top of everything else that people have to do nowadays. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but the married people that I know, it's both spouses working in a lot of cases. So there's just a lot to get done. So it's obviously normal to divide and conquer.
It's
just, as you were
of
pointing
duties.
out, with finances, it's just learning the language.
Yeah. And I say it's not a competency issue. It's just a delegation of duties. And if you stay in most couples find their lane. Right? Like, you handle this, I'll handle that. And they stay there for a long time. And if you get 20 to 30 years in a lane, you are a professional at that lane, which means you're a complete amateur in the other, right? Like that's just the nature of it.
That's right.
And so not only that, to make it not because you wanted to make the shift, not because you and your spouse sat down and said, hey, you know, it'd be fun. Let's switch roles.
Let's switch.
Yeah, let's just trade seats. Hey, I'm getting tired. Can you drive for a little bit, right? It's not that. It's that the worst happened and your spouse passed away. And in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of pain and heartache and loneliness, now when you have to do that person's job, it hurts to do it because you're saying, oh, well, she used to handle this or he used to handle this.
Yep.
And that's just a really hard position to be in. And we deal with it quite a bit. Unfortunately, when you're a retirement planner, specifically when you focus your energy and you spend most of your time with retirees, our average client's about 67 years old. Yeah. So when you deal with that space, you deal with this a lot. Yeah. And I attend more funerals, unfortunately, than I would care to, but it's because, you know, these clients are like family to us. Yeah. But when you do that, it's like you're seeing people go through the hardest days of their lives. And then you're saying, hey, now you have to learn this new language. Yep. And so those are hard. The other interesting stat, and this speaks to this, 80% of widows switch financial advisors within a year of their husband's death. Yep. Because they had no relationship.
They weren't involved.
They had nothing to do with it. And so we've known these stats, we've known these things. And if you're hearing this and you're saying, oh my gosh, this is hitting home too much, I need some peace of mind. Maybe you're someone who's gone through that and you say, I just don't know where to turn or how to go. Or
maybe you are right now in a happy, healthy space with your significant other, but you were realizing that either you or that person does not have awareness or knowledge. Let's start to work on that education.
Yeah, and that's absolutely. And so the biggest thing is to have a joint education on your finances. You don't both have to do it, right? Like you don't both want to be cutting a check to consumers every month to pay your bill because that's dumb. You're going to double pay. Right. But an education and understanding of where you sit, we want to build out plans that work under that understanding that I know maybe this isn't your lane, but you at least need to be aware of what's going on there. I'm dealing right now. We have a client who just passed away back in June. And his wife, she's a wonderful client. She ran a salon over in the Detroit area. She's very successful, very smart, has owned buildings, done all these things. He just ran the books on it for the back end. Got it. They have a rental down in Florida. They have a rental over in Wayne County. They have, stuff from all over. Yeah. And he managed a lot of it. He was a retired attorney. And so he loved running around and fixing stuff. And so he would, if the rental house had a problem, he'd go over and fix something on it. If this happened, he'd go take care of it. And so she was doing her thing, being very successful, just not managing these little tiny pieces. And all of a sudden now those pieces all fell on her plate and she's got to deal with it. And now luckily through our process, all the way through, she has attended every financial planning meeting we've pretty much had. So as a result, she knows generally where things are. Right. And she knows the plan to move forward. So when she called me and said, hey, he passed, and I knew that it was coming up, we were able to kind of just say, hey, spend the next month just being with family, being with friends. Yeah. And she knew already that she was taken care of from that side. Okay. And then we just sat back down and said, all right, here is your new life. You're a single tax filer. We've got these things. We have a unique opportunity this year because he was alive this year to do married filing jointly taxes. We need to do some intentional strategies with taxes and things because everything changes next year. So there's a lot of education that comes into that on the back end of someone passing. And they just moved into a new home, which is also really tough. Like they finally got their house built. They moved in April and he passed in June. So there's a lot there. And it's more than finances, but yet finances have to be taken care of.
That's right.
And so I'm very grateful that over the years, as I would ask her to come to meetings, she would come and we'd sit down and understand. Yeah. Because right now she can spend more time thinking about him and not thinking about these other things.
Right. Not being distracted.
So, yeah. And the whole thing is you need a family wealth strategy plan, something that is for both of you, something that you both understand, that you both know and you both trust. So when the worst happens, you don't have to worry about this stuff. You spend time celebrating the life you lived, not frustrated about what you now have to do. So that's what we do for people. We put together a family wealth strategy plan that is custom built for your family that both of you understand. It's simple enough to be understood and communicated well, but also detailed enough to make sure that every box is checked and every I is dotted.
Ladies, take action. Let's get on this conversation. Or fellas, remind your ladies the importance of getting in on this conversation. This is about a financial plan for the both of you in what's hopefully going to be many happy, healthy years of your retirement. And of course, you can find us anytime at michigansretirementcoach.com.